Isagi Yoichi has played football his entire life, but there's a reason why he loves it so much. He feels that all he wants to do is get better. He's never been the fastest, never been the quickest, never been the strongest, but he had a realization that there was something that was within himself that made him better than everyone else he played against. It wasn't necessarily his mind. It was never how fast he could run or how quick he could move. It was something that dated back, well, centuries. Something that gave Isagi hope. It seemed as if his family was raised around this idea that there was mythical totems that were passed down throughout his life. Mythical totems passed down throughout his family lineage, and it seemed as if, well, those totems were lost to time. But his mother would tell him stories of a totem that was buried long ago, but they have no idea where it is. This totem was a time totem. It seemed as if it was back when people needed it to fend off intruders, to fend off people that were threatening their lives. But these totems would be useless now. I mean, they're not fighting for their lives, and they're not fending off intruders. She tells Isagi that, yeah, it's a cool myth, it's a cool little story, little folk tale that she likes telling them or her kids and her family. But at the end of the day, the totems would not necessarily matter nowadays. That there would be no reason for them to even be here. Isagi, after hearing this, would feel that, imagine what he could do with a totem, this crazy totem, in this day and age as a football player. And years would pass by, and this idea would leave his memory, but the totem that was buried away for so long was waiting for its awakening. Not so it can show its object or its face in the light ever again, but so that a person could utilize its power in a brand new way. When Isagi was around 13 or 14, he began seeing giant leaps of how much better he was at football. Leaps that he never realized he would have had in the first place. And these leaps would be directly correlated with the totem underneath the earth. A totem that would give him the ability to time skip. It seemed now at the age of 14, while he plays against some of the best high school players out there, at least in his little section of the world, or a little section in Japan, it seems as if every time he goes to make a crucial move, they are just off by a mile. It seems as if everyone and everything freezes for about 0.5 seconds. It seems as if that little bit of time, that tiny bit, 0.5 seconds, allows him to make a move that is more or less far greater than anything that a defender can react to. And as he grows up and as he gets older and as he hones his skills as a football player, that 0.5 seconds would slowly but surely gain and more or less give him more time. From 0.5 to 0.6 to 0.8 to 1 second, all of this time would continue to increase. And it seems like Isagi would finally realize, especially in one of his last games he'll play on a field, or on a field for his high school, he would finally realize that that little myth with the whole totem thing might just be real. Because when he takes on a team led by Kira, the treasure of Japan, someone that is supposedly going to be next up, it seems as if he outclasses Kira by a long shot. As the game would continue on, Kira would fall behind by 2 scores, being 2-0, and frankly, this jewel of Japan would slowly crumble at Isagi's feet. But Isagi would be wanting to put the game away. He believes that one more goal would settle it all right here. He would be darting through the defense, and it seems like every single defender is just out of place every single time. Every time he dodges, every time he nutmegs, every time he cuts right, cuts left, maneuvers right, it seems as everywhere he dribbles, it's hard to react to, It's as if he's truly stopping time for a second. That split second makes it feel as if he's so fast, so quick, and he's unstoppable. He would dodge by Kira, and he would continue to dodge by defender after defender, and Isagi would smile as he sees the goal. And as he time skips one more time, he kicks the ball, and let's just say the goalie can't even see him swing his foot, and making it 10 times harder to react to the ball that is hurling toward him as they look at each other. As the ball enters the goal, the goalie's in complete shock, but the refs whistle the play over, or the game over, and it seems as if Isagi's team has won. Everyone is completely taken back by what Isagi was able to do, and frankly, Kira is besides himself. He doesn't understand how he was able to do that, or how Isagi was able to do that. How could he do the things he was just doing? How is he able to get by everybody? How is he able to make such moves? It feels inhuman. It feels as if he shouldn't be able to do it at all, but he was. How is he able to do such things? How is he able to make everyone look so bad? Make everyone look like an absolute joke? And after the fact, Kira would speak with Isagi, but I mean, what answers are you going to get out of Isagi? Practically nothing. I mean, come on. How are you supposed to get anything out of Isagi? How are you supposed to get anything in general? With that said, the game is obviously over, and after some conversations and after learning literally nothing, Kira would leave, but he would have his suspicions. He would wonder how Isagi was able to do the things he was able to do, and he would wonder if he would ever be able to figure it out. I mean, maybe he'll get the chance eventually, but that's not a guarantee either. But with all that said, Isagi would go home, and he would hang out with his mom, his father, and just relax. But eventually, yeah, that letter would come. The letter that would change his life forever. This letter would be almost, if not just as important as the awakening of the time totem. It may have been just as important, or maybe even more important, for his life right now. And it would be a letter inviting him to a bit of a training camp for strikers, inviting all the best strikers all around the world. But it's not that simple. Nowhere near that simple. Because when he arrives, he learns that this whole training camp isn't exactly what it seems. This training camp is actually far, far different than what it seemed in the first place. The training camp was called Blue Lock. They were trying to find the best striker in the entire world. Isagi would stand there listening to Jinpachi Ego as he spews, well, a lot of what feels like nonsense. But eventually, it would all click to him. Kira would be standing next to him, asking if Isagi is really buying all of this, but Isagi would tell him that if he wants to be the best striker in the world, that you need to take risks. And if you don't take a risk every now and then, well, you'll never become the best, and you'll be so far out of reach that it won't even be close. Isagi would tell Kira that he doesn't know about him, but he's walking through those damn doors. He walks forward, and Isagi would look at Jinpachi Ego, and Isagi would kind of flicker in a weird way forward, and Ego would look at him oddly, thinking, what the hell was that? What did that kid just do? Ego knows who Isagi is in terms of how strong and how well and how much he's done for the game so far, but he's never seen that. How was he able to kind of flicker in and out there? It's as if something is going on that Jinpachi Ego isn't fully aware of, at least not aware of at the moment. And he's definitely curious. How was that even able to happen? How was Isagi kind of flicking in and out of what seems like time itself? It's as if the passion that is running through his veins at this moment allowed him to skip forward through the door, and it felt as if everybody was standing still. like a brief second, as if Jinpachi Ego blinked. But even when he blinks, it never would look like that. He would see shadows, but it's like as if Isagi like stepped forward and he was gone. But still, he ignores it. Maybe it's a lapse of his vision. Maybe it's something that's making him go insane. He's not 100% sure, but he decides to kind of just ignore it for now. Because, I mean, what is he going to do about it? I mean, in general, what is he going to do? And what is he going to say, think, tell him? So he decides to leave it off at that and kind of let the kid walk on through without being even confronted at all. Isagi would finally get his clothing on, would get ready and arrive in the room that he was designated. And the room is built, or is the room of Z, or designated as letter Z. When he walks in, he sees many people, and that includes one Kira. It includes the one that he beat not too long ago, but he kind of doesn't really think that much about it. I mean, why does it matter that Kira's here anyways? All that matters is that he's ready to do whatever it takes to win, because this right here is going to determine if he becomes a true striker, if he can truly take Japan's national team to the very next level. Yes, this may seem like a hard task. Yes, this may seem like a task that is more or less or very close to impossible, and that would be the case. I mean, there is no world, no realm that this isn't a task that is on the bridge of impossible. But Isagi is ready for a task just like that. He doesn't fear the task of impossibility. He only fears, well, his lack of trying. So he's going to give it a chance, give it an attempt, and he's going to absolutely give everybody a show. A show truly for the ages. A show that everyone will watch for years and years and years. Watch him absolutely on the World Cup stage and absolutely dominate on that stage as well. That's what he wants, and that's what he will get. Isagi's excitement can't be hidden. Isagi's want to be the best, and obviously want to crush everybody there, cannot be hidden. It's pretty abundantly apparent that Isagi is excited, and the first little mission or the first quest type of thing that they're going to have to do, the first test, would be the one, well, of tag. Tag seems easy enough, but Jinpachi Ego would then explain it, and it would seem as if it's not as easy as it would seem. The way it works is relatively simple, but difficult once people start playing. What you have to do is actually win a game of tag via a soccer or a football. This ball would more or less be kicked at somebody, and whoever gets hit is it. And that's the fact of the matter. You have about 2 minutes and spare change to try and basically win as quick as possible, or win without being tapped or touched by the ball. And if you are touched by the ball, if you are it at the very end of it all, then you lose. You are to be sent away, and you are to be just absolutely crushed. Your dreams will be obliterated, and everything that you wished you were going to have, well, no longer is going to be there for you. Now, this may be like a scary sight. This may be a sight that many fear, but Jinpachi Ego says this will only make them greater strikers. The game would begin, and just like I said, it would be one of high stakes. Everybody would be dodging, trying to play keep away, and Kira would be looking for somebody to hit. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't want his dreams to end here either. And he continues to try and hit somebody with the football, but he continues to miss. When he tries to get Isagi out, it seems as if it's almost impossible. It seems as if Isagi's movement is so unorthodox, and that his movement is so hard to hit, as if he's literally skipping in and out of a time space. and seemingly skipping in and out and unable to even touch him. It's absolutely insane. Of course, Kira would eventually give up and try to hit somebody else, but as he does this, well, he actually chucks the ball toward one Bachira. Bachira would slowly dodge or slowly get out of the way as if he was sitting up from sleeping. And as he gets up, he would get the ball himself, rubbing his eyes as he kicks it straight toward Isagi. But there's something within Isagi that tells him to kick the ball back. It's as if Isagi wants a challenge now. No more running away. He kicks the ball toward Bachira and they begin to go back and forth. But eventually, Bachira would lean the ball toward Isagi one last time, and it's as if Bachira is signaling to kick it toward Kira. Kira still being the best in technicality here as they speak, because Kira is technically the best because Isagi's development wasn't there until way later. So in terms of overall player, Kira would be deemed as the best at this moment, at least in this group. Kira would watch as the ball would spiral toward him as it slams into his face. As he gets hit with the ball, he tries to recover and get the ball back himself and kick it towards someone else. But as he tries to recover, the time would hit 0. The time would be completely and utterly over. There's nothing he can do now. He begins to kind of freak out. No, this can't be happening. There's just no way. How is this happening? He's completely just out of his mind at this moment. He's completely just freaking out. How could this really happen to him? How does this even make sense? He doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. How is it him? How is it him that loses? And of course, Isagi, he would stand there, and it would be obvious that his ego would take over, that he wouldn't care. He listens to Kira complain, but then he would watch him walk away. It's now over for the Jewel of Japan, and it's now over for Kira forever. Blue Lock is brutal, and he gets walked away as Jinpachi Iga would speak to them all, telling them that that's not the end of what they're doing now. From here on, there's even more at stake. They are all now a team that will betray each other, challenge each other, work together, and sometimes they'll fall short. But if they're truly the best strikers in the world, they'll find a way to be the best. He tells them all this and says that he wishes them all good luck because tomorrow's their first match, a match against Team X, and a match that will define all of them forever. Isagi Yoichi steps onto the field with his team, and it's obvious that he's excited for what's to come. But the very start of the game would go very unpredictable to what Isagi was expecting. What Isagi was expecting was his team to pass the ball around, to maybe score, to dominate. He thought, just like he would in high school, he would dominate. But quickly he would realize that this would be the furthest thing from the case. It would be really hard to dominate, especially when people want to do their own thing. And that's the issue that Isagi was running into now. Isagi realized that everybody wanted to fight for themselves. And it seemed as if, well, it was pretty apparent that everybody believed that they should have the ball and that they should do this or they should do that, and that they all would fight for it and try to steal the ball from each other. As this occurs though, one by the name of Shohei Bado would come out of the chaos in an emphatic fashion. It would pop up the ball and he would go get it himself. His prowess and his body type and his willingness to just run through the fire allowed him to clear through everybody that's in front of him very easily, and only one person was there to stop him, and that was Isagi Yoichi. Isagi would run over, and as he's crossing the face of Bado goes to pop the ball up, and as he does, he feels that he does tip it up at the perfect time, But as he does this, it seems as if Isagi steals the ball right in front of him. He steals the ball because he uses his totem, his time skip, and he's able to slow down time, or at least stop it entirely for a second or a second and a half. He stops it for a second and a half, and he steals the ball from Bado. He begins running down the field without anybody being able to really stop him, especially because it's just pure chaos. As he scores the first goal, even the goalie not being able to react to what's going on, everybody stands there in complete shock, especially Bado. How did Isagi even do that? The confusion would be obvious all over the face of Bado. He's extremely confused about how Isagi was even able to pull something like that. He just stole the ball right in front of him. How is that even possible? How's he even capable of that? In which Isagi wouldn't even say a word. He would actually be completely and utterly serious, ready to go for the next kickoff. It seems as if he realizes that there needs to be something done, and the way for them to win this all falls on the shoulders of him. He realizes this, and he takes things into his own hands. He wants to make sure that he can win this match, even if his team wants to more or less throw the match. And quickly, everybody else would begin to conform, because the defensive prowess of Isagi is pretty good. I mean, at the end of the day, when you could stop time for a split second, then you could steal the ball from literally anybody, just as long as they don't predict your movements before it even happens. But there's nobody here that's going to do that. Nobody, at least of that caliber at this moment. Isagi would easily lead his team, and the passes he would set up seemed to be instantaneous. When he would kick the ball, it was as if the ball itself would get there almost instantly, and nobody would understand how he does it, but they wouldn't even question it. They would just think that Isagi is extremely talented, extremely strong, or something of that margin. Now, that would be correct to a certain extent, but not fully correct into all the knowledge that they truly are missing. Isagi is on a whole nother level at the moment, a completely different level. But at the same time, he knows that he needs to get his teammates completely and utterly involved. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's getting his teammates involved. So as he continues to get his teammates involved, and as he continues to not only dominate the field, he just continues to show off exactly what he's capable of. Everybody kind of stands there as they watch Isagi just cut up the defense with ease, and it's a spectacle. Frankly, it's a massive spectacle. It's something that nobody really even thought would occur in such a way, but Isagi is showing how great he truly is. Isagi is showing that he is levels above the people that are on the field with him. Now, with all that said, Isagi still gets everybody involved, still gets all the people he needs to involved, and makes sure that everyone gets their own chance at scoring goals. And he only does this once they get a little bit of a margin against Team X, and he does it pretty efficiently at that. And he gives goals to people like Kunigami, who can shoot from pretty far distances, people like Bachira, who can dribble at insane rates, and people like Gagomaru, who have insane flexibility, who can dive and get the ball wherever he places it. And he needs someone like that because he expects them to lay their body on the line to score goals for themselves and for him. The game would quickly come to an end, and a crashing halt at that. It wouldn't even be a close match. Isagi would make sure of that, like I said. But the game being over, it comes to a screeching halt at a score of 5-0. And it just seems as if Isagi is stepping up the pace more and more and more. Because once they get out of that game, they're now 1-0 or 1-0. And he now knows that they need to kind of work as a team and find their own goals, but in various different ways. they begin training together, working out together, and doing various other things together to try and prepare for the next game, especially prepare for whatever's to come. He tells them all that they need to realize that maybe, just maybe, some people will have better coordination. Some people may have better players. They need to realize that they need to kind of even the playing field with their coordination, with their players, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing. Isagi makes sure of this as they continue training more and more. And of course they want to train with Isagi because he is at the top right now of their group, or the top of compared to everyone else there. But with that said, the game against Team Y is next up. And that game against Team Y will be against Nico and Okawa. But this match entirely wouldn't be that difficult. It wouldn't be that difficult for many reasons, but the main reason is the reaction time that Nico would need to have to stop Isagi from stealing the ball, or at least disrupting his passes. Once Isagi realizes that Nico is the main priority in terms of passing it to Okawa, he is on Nico like glue. He makes sure that he's stuck to him like glue, and he makes sure that he can't pass it for free. So when he does pass it, it's easily intercepted and easily countered immediately and directly right after for extended goals. They would continue to do this, and Isagi would continue to pressure Nico, and this would actually force Nico to slowly but surely evolve. But it's pretty obvious that Nico can't evolve anywhere past what he currently is at the moment. Nico realizes that Okawa and his connection, his little thing that he's doing now, just isn't good enough, and is the farthest thing from good enough. And that's just the facts of it. That is just the fact of the matter. Okawa and Nico are just not good enough to hold and carry their team to victory. Isagi continues to beat down and continues to absolutely just destroy Team Y, from his defensive prowess to his passing abilities. He would pass goals up to Bachira, Kunigami, Gagamaru, and even some of the other defenders on that team. Even people like Monk Boy would score goals, which is absolutely insane because their skills aren't even that good. During this time, though, it's become apparent that Isagi has leveled up his team to a large degree, and has even inspired many others on his team to excel past what they're currently capable of. And that includes the one and only Chigiri. Chigiri knows who they're taking on next. He knows exactly who they are and what he wants to do. And after the end of the game against Team Y, everybody would have a bit of a meeting, but Chigiri would speak with Isagi on their own. And as they speak, Chigiri would speak about how he doesn't like this team. This team is made up of two people that's, well, he played with before. And of course, Isagi would listen to this because he'd be curious. What's up with these people that he played with before, and why doesn't he like them? And eventually he would learn of just all the stuff that happened to Chigiri and all the stuff that more or less occurred during that time. And after he hears this, he asks if Chigiri wants to just quit, if he wants to leave now, and Chigiri would kind of be silent. But then Isagi says that if he wants to stay here, work hard, and try to forget about his injury and push through it and not care anymore, rip the band-aid off and continue on at a blaze of glory, that he'll be right next to him, that he's down to go full head of steam as long as he's down as well. In which Chigiri hears this and he slightly smirks and he says that they'll have to see on the field. Yeah, they'll see on the field. Isagi would take that as a yes. I mean, come on, how would you not? And they all get ready for the next match against Team W. Now this is a match that is very, very personal. A match that well, Chigiri wants badly, and a match that he wants revenge on. A match that he wants to absolutely take down and obliterate this team, and he would get that chance right off the bat. Because Isagi would look to set up Chigiri with goals immediately to strike fear into their team, to strike fear into what they think Chigiri is capable of. Because at the end of the day, they believe that Chigiri is nothing. They believe that he's useless now, that he's injured and that he's too afraid to do anything. But that's not the Chigiri they're going to get. The Chigiri that they're going to get is someone of insane proportions. But what they don't know, from underneath the ground, buried a long time ago, even underneath Blue Lock itself, were totems. Totems have been buried for a very long time. But one of those totems was linked to the name, or the Chigiri name, and finally the prerequisites have been awakened, and the speed that Chigiri once knew, the speed that he had before, is nothing compared to the one he's going to have now. When he stomps his foot and darts forward and Isagi looks up to make that pass, he sees Chigiri running down the field at speeds he's never seen before. This power can only mean one thing. He must have a totem just like him. The totems that used to be made to protect, to fight off monsters in the, at least based on myth, fight off monsters in the near or in the distant past, now has been connected to Isagi and one Chigiri. Two totems on one team, and when he kicks the ball, Isagi can feel it in his foot. He can feel it in the air that this game is already over. The ball would land in front of Chigiri, and he would score, and the defense would have zero chance. It's as if once they got close to Chigiri, they would run out of time instantly. His speed would be too much, and he would easily juke by, move, dash, and just quickly cut through the defense as if it was child's play. As if he was going up against a bunch of children, and they just had zero chance at stopping him. And that's exactly what this game would look like. Complete and utter domination. Chigiri has been awakened, and this game was just a stamp on what he's going to do in Blue Lock. It seems like Isagi has a brand new tandem. But with that said, and with the end and the revenge for Chigiri, the Wanama twins fall. They fall quicker than you can possibly imagine, and Isagi's Isagi's vision now leads him to the last match, the fourth match of the first selection. But that is going to be where we start off in the next part. Isagi Yoichi is taking on Team V, the very final match. But here's the thing, there's a big difference in this match, a giant difference. Isagi does see Bachira as a proper duo, someone that is very good, someone that he can definitely connect with, and Bachira definitely will see Isagi as some overarching monster that he could definitely follow and learn and get better from. But he's obviously more attached to the one and only Chigiri. Chigiri is someone that Isagi can connect with because he can tell that the strength, the speed, and the power he gets is from one of the long lost totems that is currently hidden beneath the ground. The totem, as a totem bearer himself, at least to a certain extent, he can skip time for a couple seconds, if not, well, multiple amounts of seconds, not just a couple. And Isagi knows how deadly these totems are and how deadly they were back, well, in the day, in terms of just fighting in Japan's, when Japan was at war. But now it's used for other reasons, and finally they found use for it in, well, being able to play football. Now that is something that Isagi, well, didn't really know much about in the first place, but with Chigiri by his side, you can tell that he's excited to see what someone like him is capable of. So when they take on Team V, They take on Nagi and Reo and Zantetsu. They take them on with some crazy amounts of confidence. Amounts of confidence that would lead them to absolute destruction. Because Isagi would start with the ball, and he could see himself gaining even more power throughout this time. He would take the ball, time skipping around multiple defenders, and as he looks up, his good buddy Chigiri, someone he just met here, is now down the field wide open. It's as if everywhere Chigiri goes, he's wide open. There is no guarding him, there is no way, and it seems like he never gets tired. Isagi would pass the ball down there, and Chigiri would score with relative ease. And yes, this was impressive, but Reo and Nagi still have their glimmer of hope in the connection they have. A pass down the field to Nagi would seemingly get secured by him, but it seemed as if out of nowhere the ball would disappear from in front of him. And that's exactly what would have happened, or what did happen. Isagi has taken the ball, taken it from him entirely, and Nagi doesn't even know what to say. His brain can't even compute what just happened. How did he take it without him even seeing him? How did he take the ball without anybody noticing? It begins to kind of make him kind of paranoid, a little bit of, but at the same time, he's extremely interested. Isagi would continue his domination, continue passing the ball to Chigiri for open goals, but eventually getting Bachira involved as well. Bachira's passing ability obviously would help Isagi and Chigiri combine to make an insane duo themselves, because Bachira's passing would be perfect for Isagi and perfect for the speed that Chigiri is playing at. He would pass the ball so far away and Chigiri would still be able to go get it. And it seems like their connection is just too much for the team of Team V. And that's obvious that's the case, because they run up the score and eventually win by a large margin, putting their record to 4-0. They didn't lose a single game. And on top of that, Isagi might have seen the awakening of another totem bearer in terms of the world of football. Isagi knows that whatever's to come next, he needs to work with Chigiri even more. So that's what he wants, and that's what he's going to do. And after all 4 games are said and done, they would get word from Jinpachi Ego. Ego would speak to them about what this meant and what's going on, and he would say that it seems as if they have some players on their team that were misjudged, that were definitely miscalculated in terms of how good they truly are. In which Isagi would know he's talking about him and Chigiri, because it seems like Chigiri's injury no longer affected him, and it seems like Isagi was on a whole nother level, but to face value on people that are just staring at Isagi, well, the normal person would never be able to calculate this, never be able to calculate how good Isagi truly is. And that's just the fact of the matter. Isagi would end would watch as this conversation would end, as Jinpachi Ego would introduce what's coming next, what's going on next, and what's going to happen next. The next selection is pretty basic, at least overall, and it's more or less this first selection was a team-based kind of thing, but now it's time for individuals to show out, truly show out, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to truly show out. These individuals, well, are obviously every single one of them who passed. These individuals are just ready to go, and Jinpachi Ego would explain to them before he would hang up that the first part of the second selection is something that they will literally have to do on their own. When Isagi would enter after a ton of physical training, he would enter to see Blue Lock Man. But Blue Lock Man is something that is some sort of holographic man that is a perfect goalkeeper, and this goalkeeper will be their goalkeeper for the rest of the time, at least for now. And when he's tries to score 100 goals against Blue Lock Man, it's actually pretty simple. Blue Lock Man can't even react to what Isagi was doing because of his ability to skip time. I mean, come on, it's almost impossible. Even though it's a computerized system, he still cannot even predict or even react in time to Isagi shooting a goal while time is technically frozen. So he would easily get through the blue lock or the blue lock man portion of this selection and easily be able to go into the very next round. He would be one of the first people, if not the first person out already, but all he's doing is he wants to wait for Chigiri. He wants to actually play with Chigiri, and quickly he would see more people walk out, especially that of Itoshi Rin. Itoshi Rin would actually want him on his team, at least briefly, but Isagi would then tell him that the only way he would do that is if he allows, well, for them to wait for Chigiri, in which Rin's kind of confused about this, because why would he want someone that's obviously going to be far worse than him if it's taking him this long to come out? And Rin would be about to just walk away, but Isagi would tell him that Chigiri, his specialty isn't just scoring goals. Like, at least normally, his specialty is speed that is so unhumane or inhuman like that you wouldn't even believe he's human. You wouldn't even believe that he can even run this way. In which Rin would stand there for a second and look back and ask if that's an overestimation. It sounds like he's just bullshitting. In which Isagi would shrug and say, I mean, that's on him if he wants to believe that. But if he believes that he can go in and defeat everybody with whoever he chooses, then go right ahead. It doesn't matter to him, but he's waiting for Chigiri. And as he says this, Chigiri would walk out. Chigiri would obviously see Isagi and walk over to him, and he would be pretty surprised. And it's not because Chigiri sucks or anything like that. It's more because his totem, him being super fast, isn't necessarily super helpful, especially against someone like or something like Blue Lock Man. But once Chigiri walks out, Isagi would hesitate a bit, but he would kind of shrug as he says that Rin could go on his way. I mean, it doesn't really matter to him. He'll be waiting for someone else. He'll see Rin in there. In which Rin would walk away and he would kind of scoff at Isagi, but Isagi knows what he's doing. He wants to humble Rin. And once Bachira walks through those doors, he drags both Chigiri and Bachira through as they take on Rin and some of the top players in Blue Lock, being that of Aru and Tokumitsu. Now, this matchup seems to be a great one, but the one-on-one game is heavily favored toward the side of Isagi and Chigiri and Bachira. Bachira's insane dribbling gets them on the board quickly against Tokumitsu, not expecting Bachira to be able to dribble in such a way. In terms of Rin and his kickoff goal, he would try it, but it seems as if as he kicks it, the ball would just disappear out of the air, and Isagi would header it forward as he goes for the next goal. He would then just disappear, it seems, and he would score another goal for his team. He would look at Rin and say that he really should think about what he says before he says it, because there's always someone better. In which Rin would be pissed at hearing this. He would be extremely angry. I mean, he doesn't want to even think about, oh, there's someone better. There's a chance that there's someone better. So he tries to muster up all of his ability, all of his strength, all of his capabilities to will his team into this. But it seems as if all the reads he's making literally don't matter. It seems as if he has to think so far ahead that it's impossible. In which eventually, yes, he would get a goal, maybe through the physicality and the sheer physicality of maybe Tokumitsu or the height of Aru, but they would score one goal and lose 5-1, in which Rin would end up getting picked up, but he would be in disbelief, unable to even comprehend what was even happening, what even happened. And frankly, that's just it. there's no idea. He has no idea what truly happened. In which, I mean, he wouldn't have any idea. You've never gone against Isagi, and frankly, he never will ever again, at least for now in this selection, because Isagi would pick up Rin and they would go on to the 4 versus 4 stage of this second selection. Now, with all that said, the next match would be one of the easiest Isagi has ever gone through. I mean, we're talking about a match that Isagi, Chigiri, Bachira, and Rin probably going against a team of Aru, Tokumitsu, maybe Reo, and maybe Nagi, but even that team can't stop the dynamic duo. And on top of that, the fact that Rin can read the fields now on the side of Isagi, it's as if he's just putting passes out there, and as long as he puts them in an advantageous space, well, it's almost an instant goal. And that makes things so easy for Rin and also company that is around him. And they would go on to the very final thing, the very final part of all of this, and that would be against the World 5. Totem bearer or not, Isagi and Chigiri may have some, well, experience in this, may have some pretty good happenings. They might score a goal, maybe 2, maybe even 3. But once the World 5 starts putting the pressure on the others, even Chigiri, Isagi can't keep up with defending everybody. And this time skip and him moving around the way he is even puts a drain on him entirely, puts a massive drain on him. So when he begins to try and keep up with the World 5, try and more or less stop the World 5, he may stop him one time, but he won't stop him the rest of the times, and the World 5 would find their way to a victory. But Ego would see so much promise in not only Isagi but Chigiri himself, Rin next to them, and Bachira as well. It seems as if, well, there is insane amounts of capabilities. Even Nagi, someone that just got picked up by them, may not have insane amounts of chemistry, but it seems like the chemical reaction is just waiting to explode. This would obviously put a smile on Jinpachi Ego's face, but there's other things for him to be worried and also very, very serious about, and that is the up-and-coming match against Japan's U20 team. Japan's U20 team is a force to be reckoned with, and a force that Isagi will hopefully lead, or will hopefully lead Blue Lock against. Now, what does this mean for everybody else? What does this mean for the lifeline of Blue Lock? Can Isagi utilize the totems, or the time skip totem, in a way that would be unimaginable, would be a way for them to dominate in the U20 match? Well, that's a story for a totally other time, and a story that may or may not be told. But if you enjoyed, as always, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. We don't obviously go into the manga. I've said this before. When the next season comes out, we probably will. Actually, no. When the next season comes out, we definitely will go into the U20 match, stuff like that. I mean, that's just how we do what ifs. I know a lot of people read or watch anime mostly. So I don't personally feel the need to go into the U20 match. And also, that's just how I've been doing what ifs for a long time. So with that said, though, I hope y'all enjoyed nonetheless, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day.